everybody. I decided to do a pre-camp out gear video so that I don't have to talk about the gear on the video. So right here it is, and when I was laying it out inside, I was surprised how simple it is. Right now we're sitting on my 16 by 20 drop cloth, which I just boiled it to see if it would tighten up the weave. That's the remnants of where I boiled it in a big 55-gallon drum. And I haven't treated it, and the main reason is because pretty sure we're not going to be getting rain. It's actually fairly fair weather, so I'm going to try it out setting up this shelter that I've been wanting to set up. As far as waxcloth and oilcloth goes, guys, there's pros and cons to both, and there's lots of cons to both. I don't know where I'm at right now. Kind of just happy the weather's getting better where I don't have to deal with it and I can figure it out this summer. However, the main goal isn't to really go out and camp in the wintertime or in the rain. It's more to be ready if I find myself in those situations. And I'm getting close to where I could, I could do it with my 2 tarps that you guys are familiar with. I don't have my 10 by 10 yet, the canvas one. So that's why we're going to do this. I will show the setup of that in the camp video. So that's the shelter. Now I break down everything, my regular life, because I'm simplifying it, and my camp life. I break it down into 4 things. I know that Canterbury has an excellent philosophy on this, and it's not to discredit that. This is just what I've developed for myself. So I break it down into food, fire, water, and shelter. And so shelter can include all of the things we use to, not all of the things, the material things that we use to protect ourselves from the elements. So whether that shelter is my clothing, whether it's my bedding, because I need different shelter while I'm sleeping, or whether it's what we actually consider a shelter, which is a tarp tent. So for my shelter, I've got my clothes on, I got my 4 wool blankets, I've got a poncho, which is treated, it came from the factory treated canvas, and then I've got my my camp and sleeping hat, my gloves for emergency and hot pads, backup shirt in case I get sweaty or wet. It was really nice to have on my snow camp, and then my coat, which I find that I rarely wear. So that's my shelter. And then for food has been simplified, and I'm going to show you a little bit of what I got rid of. So even in my normal life, I've simplified my food even more, which I know I need to make sure that I'm getting all my nutrients and vitamins. But I've simplified it down to meat and rice. I'm doing a real meat diet, and I find I have way more consistent energy due to that. And then just a little bit of rice just to help my stomach have something to, make it easier on my stomach. So I'm taking this bigger pot. That way I can cook enough for me and the dogs, because we eat the same thing. And I can cook up at night enough for me and the dogs and breakfast. That way I don't have to start the whole cooking over. I can just cook in the evening, and that gets me going for dinner and breakfast. And then the next day, I just, in the afternoon, prepare my food again. I just have to prepare one time because I'm down to 2 meals a day, and it's working fantastic. I'm a guy who does get low blood sugar if I don't eat regularly enough, but because I'm eating a meat diet, as long as I eat at the right times and don't wait too long. So that's what's going on. I'm taking this bigger pot, which going away from this pot just for this trip. Now, which is probably a good time to mention, my goals for these campouts isn't because I long to get out and camp, because I mean, my regular life is basically camping, except that I've got a cabin there, but it's just a 12 by 16 cabin. So most of this is to develop a method that I can use and that I'm very comfortable with, as I've been doing for a lot of my camp trips. And hopefully this summer, because it gets hot here in the desert, I'm thinking about going up for 1 or 2 months into the mountains where I might stay cooler. At that one place where I've gone, I've done some camp trips up to a lake. It's about 10-15 degrees cooler, and there's a freezing cold river to get into, and it's just really refreshing getting up there. Me and the animals prefer cooler weather, and it even gets cold at night, actually. I mean, cold is relative, but so I might do that this year. There's not a lot to keep me here through the heat, and I can take all the animals with me. So that's what I'm still developing. That's why I'm going to experiment with the bigger pot. I used to use it just for myself, but now for me and the dogs, it's probably going to be ideal. And then eventually, I'll get myself a tin one. I'll put the money in once I've decided what I need. So I don't need to bring that one this time. And then I also don't need to bring this along. It's lightweight. This used to be my frying pan when it had the handle on it. It still is without a handle. But I'm just going to boil. I'm not going to fry it. So don't need to bring that. Thought about bringing it for dog food, but I'm just going to use something else. So that makes it really minimal. It's just this pot, this spoon, and then the food. And then for coffee, this is dried meat, and I got dried meat in here, and I got some of that dried liver that I just did, dried beef liver, so we get to see. It crumbles really easy. We'll see how well it rehydrates, hopefully. And then a coffee pot, and I'm bringing ground coffee. Eventually, I will need to take along this pan if I do green coffee and roast while I'm out for my longer trips. We'll see. So I call that kitchen, or food, I guess. I call it my kitchen. And that's it right there. As simple as that. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then for fire, so I got food, fire, shelter, and water. So for fire, I've got a book of matches in this protective tin, and I've got another book of matches in here with my pipe. And that's it. What I'm not bringing with me this time is my tinder pile or a bundle of dry sticks like I took before when it was rainy and damp everywhere, because I'm very familiar with the resources around here that are growing naturally, and because it's been so dry now, I can abandon this and just utilize carrying that with me when the weather is requires it. But it was a good experience to do that, to get that experience of what it takes to bring that along and to keep it supplied, so that when I'm up in the mountains, if we're going through a rainy time, I can do that. And then I'm taking I'll put this in with fire because this is candles, it's light. And also with fire would be the tools that go along with accumulating firewood. Now this is obviously a modern saw. Really impressed with this thing for $7 on Amazon. As long as you use it right, you won't break the blade, and it's held up fairly well. I've decided to take this and not a hatchet, because this way I can cut bigger wood, and then anything that I would use the hatchet for, I can actually break it with a rock. So that way I can be minimal and take a saw. Eventually I'm going to have to find a historical saw because I do think I enjoy using this. But again, as things warm up, I don't need it so much, because then I'm only using a fire for cooking, if even that, and for cooking I can easily break the firewood. And this is my bar of soap and my linen towel. Linen towels are far superior to cotton. Back to shelter, because I'm working on a new experimental shelter. I'm bringing along this paracord. I know it's also modern, but just for this trip, as I figure out how I'm going to set this thing up, just bringing this to simplify things, and then eventually, when I'm comfortable using it, I'm going to switch to a historical type rope. This is my scale. I weighed everything, and I guess I'll put in the description the weights of all of this. I'll mention what I can recall. I don't remember it offhand, and it's on my phone, but that's what I use. So I'm also going to bring my book with me because I expect I'll have plenty of time to lounge and read. This is Dostoevsky, second book I've read. It's a little late for my period of 1860, but it's still 1800s, if I remember right. I think that's when he wrote that. That's Brothers Karamazov. And then more modern stuff. This is my power bank to recharge my phone for filming. I also have my backup iPhone 7 in there, and I have my contacts for vision, and then I'm going to put my drone in there as well. So that's camera gear plus my tripod and that one. So believe it or not, that's it. Minus that for taking with me. This is all that I'm taking with me. My clothing, I weighed all the clothing that's going to be on me, including my gun and my knife, was 12 pounds. And I'm 150 pounds, so that's me. Oh shoot, I didn't weigh my boots. We'll put 3 pounds on those. We'll estimate high. So 165 pounds. 150 for me plus 15 for all the stuff that I'm gonna wear. That did include this backup shirt, even though I'm not gonna wear it. So that's 165 for kitchen and miscellaneous tools. I think that was 8. Recording gear was 6. That did include my tripod, because this weight is to know what I'm putting on my horse. And then blankets and poncho were 18 altogether. The tarp was 8 or 9. I think the tarp was 9. Yeah. Yes, the tarp was 9. 18 for the bed. And then finally, to wrap up is the saddle. So my new saddle fits this horse well that I'm borrowing, and pretty excited about that. Really happy with this saddle. Really love it. I got to ride it the other day. It's really comfortable, very lightweight. It weighs about 20 pounds. And then I'm putting a blanket under it, and I'm taking this modern pad. Now the reason I'm bringing this modern pad instead of putting 2 blankets underneath is this is for a dog bed. I want to keep the dogs comfortable. They're getting old. That's kind of an incoming problem. But the pad, this blanket is about 10 pounds plus this saddle is 20, so that's about 30 pounds there. That altogether is lighter than a normal saddle. I had a saddle that was like 45 pounds, and that's pretty typical for a modern Western saddle. So that's still lighter there. And then all of this, I'll put it in the description. So it should be fairly fair weather, getting down to the 20s at night, and according to the weather forecast, we've only got another day of sun, so I don't know if it's going to be shady or sunny when I'm out there, but it's still supposed to be, I think, in the 40s during the day. So the night, that's still temperatures at night where I'll definitely need to build up a bed and build up some cold resilience. But this time I'm going to cut enough firewood like I did at my last camp, so that even if I have to stay up all night and then take a nap in the afternoon, I'll do it. So that was a good breakthrough doing that instead of calling it quits and figuring out what I did wrong. So the horse, I'm I'm not gonna ride it. I haven't had time to put shoes on it yet, and even though with all my gear it wouldn't be too much weight for a horse, I think it came out to 236 pounds with all the gear. And again, that's like the same weight as a lot of riders. Granted, usually big guys will get bigger horses, but at a 236 cumulative weight, oh, and I didn't weigh my book. I'm still going to be around the same weight as a lot of guys weigh just by themselves, and then you add a 45-pound saddle. So basically, I'm treating the horse pretty well, but full rider and gear would be pretty heavy for this horse without shoes. She's pretty sensitive on rocks. I've been riding her a little bit besides the camp trips. So, but what this does is it helps me get my gear situated and packing with a horse, so that when I get my riding horse, she's coming along pretty well. I'm hoping I can use her this this summer. So when I've got my riding horse, I've got my pack horse all situated. So even though it's not the camp trip that you want to see and that I want to see of me riding, it's still getting me that much closer with a goal that'll hopefully soon be materialized of riding. So I'll have the pack horse situated, and then when I get the riding horse, it'll just be another addition. So that's the gear talk. I will address how these things work in the camp video, but now I don't have to go over the whole thing. So that figuring out that good level of talking in the video that I'm aiming for. Always trying to improve my videos. Appreciate all of you that have been staying with me for a long time. If you want to hit me up on Patreon or PayPal tip, that's always appreciated, but certainly not necessary. I'm happy to provide these videos. And I started a Substack, so if you like what you see of my thoughts on Facebook, this is a little more professional level of writing on Substack, and that link will be in there also. We also started a Discord for that anybody who likes chatting, we can get in there and just discuss any topics that we have and share information. So that's been fun, and that link is in the description too. Alright guys, I'm looking forward to this trip. I'm really excited about the weather being nice, because it's just so fun being in the desert when I can sit out in the sun and soak it in, and maybe watch coyotes and elk on the hillsides. It's a lot of fun. Alright, well, hopefully next time you see me, it'll be my camp video. Thanks for watching.